Hi, I'm Taya Gurkin with Peghead Nation, and I'm here with Olivia Elia from Thompson Guitars, visiting us here in the Peghead Nation studio. And she came down with a guitar that she built for herself in the Thompson shop. Olivia works in the bodybuilding department at Thompson, but also does a whole bunch of other things at the company. So we're really pleased to have you here. Welcome to Peghead Nation.
Thank you for having me.
So, beautiful guitar. You just heard me play it. Really fantastic Dreadnought. We've had a lot of Thompson guitars coming through here at the Peghead Nation studio. It's always a pleasure to play them. And this is obviously a very special guitar. You work at the company. You've been there for how long?
About a year and a half now.
A year and a half.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about your role. You mentioned to me that you're in the bodybuilding department. So
Yeah, so I'm the bodybuilder at Thompson. I do all the bending of the sides, the block up, gluing the ribbon, the kerfing, routing the kerfing, and then mating the body together to create the sound box. And yeah, from there I route the binding channels, route the tail strip, inlay the tail strip, and do all the binding. And that's primarily what I do at Thompson.
Yeah.
I've recently become trained in neck carving, and so I'll be the backup neck carver for whenever we need help there.
I want to cycle back to the sort of Thompson building process a little bit later, because I think it's really interesting to, every kind of small shop company like that does it a little bit different. So I want to come back to that. But let's talk about this guitar a little bit. So as an employee, you're allowed to build yourself a guitar from time to time.
Yeah.
And you chose to build this really cool Dreadnought. It looks a little different from most Thompsons that I've seen in terms of there's no fingerboard inlay, things that are, I'm sure, options. You could order a Thompson very much like this.
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit about the guitar, the woods, and why you chose them, and the sort of design process of it.
Yeah, so I love walnut. And whenever I do
walnut.
side projects, it's always with walnut. So I picked this set because I kind of thought it looked like flames.
Yep. It's a gorgeous set.
Yeah. And
really nice, rich color, especially on the sides there.
And the
it's really
chocolatey.
nice. Yeah.
And honestly, I kind of just let it come to life as I built. I didn't have a lot of ideas going into it. I picked a striped ebony for the binding.
Oh yeah, I wasn't sure if that was rosewood or striped ebony.
It's striped
but yeah,
ebony.
That's nice.
And I did some, I don't know if you can see, but I mitered all the purflings into the tail strip. And then for the rosette, I really wanted to incorporate the walnut. I didn't want anything too flashy, so I picked this black pearl that I inlaid into the walnut. This is very similar to our Molly Tuttle rosette, but I just inserted the
make it a little bit more unique.
pearl. Yeah.
And it's a gorgeous Adirondack top on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more tight grained than a lot of Adirondack you see, which it's not necessarily an indication of the quality, but I think visually it's very nice to have it like that. And no pickguard.
No pickguard yet.
We talked earlier, no pickguard yet. We talked earlier that from when I was playing it, it seems voiced a little bit more toward a fingerstyle player or a softer picker than some Thompson Dreadnoughts that I've played.
Yeah. I figured I would be doing more picking style, but I wanted it to be really, really responsive because I know I'm soft-handed.
Yeah.
And so, I graduated it really thin.
And did you carve the braces a little bit more to maybe build it a little bit lighter? Yeah.
Yep. When I was scalloping, this was the first top I ever actually voiced. And after work every day for about a week, I went over to Gareth, who is our main brace carver. I went over to his house, and he taught me his process. And
that's awesome.
Learned all about tapping and listening to the woods.
Nice.
Yeah.
So tell me about the inlay and the peghead.
Yeah. So that's a fox. I really like foxes.
It's as good a reason as any.
Yeah, I've always had a pretty strong connection to foxes. I grew up in South Dakota, and right outside our house was a little foxhole, and every year there'd be new kittens in the hole, and I'd sit out there and watch them for hours every day, and ever since then I've kind of felt pretty connected to them.
That's awesome.
Plus, I just love their personalities.
And did you do the inlay work on this?
Yeah, so this was a collaboration between me and Simon, our inlay artist.
Okay.
He kind of taught me his whole process and how to pick the different woods to go into the inlay. For example, like this side fur is koa, and it's actually the grain that's making the hair marks. And there's spruce and the myrtle in the ear and the ebony. And then for the eye, I actually inlaid an opal, which is something we've never done. And opal's my favorite stone, and it's really cool. It has it changes colors when you move
that's
it.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's really awesome. Great.
Yeah.
And so you came to Thompson after having built ukuleles at Kala ukuleles for a while, but one of your passions is to build fly rods.
Yeah.
And I find that really fascinating to kind of see this, these two types of woodworking working together with that.
Yeah.
How do you find that working on fly rods and guitars sort of compares or is similar, or one helps the other?
Yeah, well, they're very similar in my mind. There's the precision in how the wood's going to bend and just react to different stresses is very... You have to think about it when you're building. And you're working to the thousandths of an inch, and they're also both tools. I really like the idea of building things that you can use to, work on your passions. So, they're both really rewarding. And
And you have your own business building fly rods.
Yeah, I do.
That you do in addition to working at Thompson.
Yeah, I'm actually the only woman professional bamboo rod builder in the U.S.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're the only professional woman working on fly rods in the United States. I don't know how that connects globally, but I'm sure it's a very, very small number of women doing this work. Yeah. There also aren't comparatively that many women luthiers. Is there anything that you'd like to say about tying that in terms of being a woman guitar maker and being a woman fly rod maker?
Yeah. Well, it's definitely something I've experienced for a long time. I was the only woman at Kala too, and at UCLA I was in the art program, and I was one of the only women there. It's definitely something I'm always aware of, and people always comment on. I'm glad that I'm getting in there, and that hopefully inspiring other women to do these sort of things.
Absolutely.
It's always great to meet another woman builder. I met Megan Wells actually a couple years ago.
Yeah,
and
she's
just
great. Yeah.
It's also opened a lot of opportunities, though. I have a lot of people purchase rods who are like, oh, I want a woman who can build me a rod.
Great.
And
are they women customers or male customers?
No, they're all males.
Yeah.
Yeah, fly fishing is also a very male-dominant sport. But I kind of try to use it to my advantage, you know.
Yeah.
Do what I can.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great. So tell us a little bit about the Thompson building process at this point. We all miss Preston, of course. He's no longer around to sort of lead the charge. You have about 7 people working on the guitars now.
Yeah.
And when you say you're the bodybuilder, are you the only person that will build the bodies, or are there some of these responsibilities shared? And how much sort of back and forth is there?
Right. No, so it's a skeleton crew, and we all kind of specialize in our own area. So I'm the only bodybuilder. I've built, for the last year and a half, every body that's come out of Thompson.
Awesome.
Working in a small shop, it takes a lot of trust and a lot of, like, you have to, you know, talk to each other about everything so that everything comes together perfectly.
Right.
It's cool. We're trying to cross-train a little bit, but since it's just us, there's not a lot of time to cross-train.
So I would think it's a pretty tight-knit group of people.
Very, yeah. It's a family.
So when you're the bodybuilder, I would think someone else might be in charge of neck, someone else might be in charge of setups. Sort of, is that how it kind of works? You have a dedicated finishing person, perhaps, or something like that?
Yep.
Yeah.
We have Gareth, who's been with the company since the beginning, and he does all the sounding of our tops and gluing on braces and carving them. And then we have Bud, who works on the CNC. Okay. And he also does our rosettes. Okay. And then there's me, and I build the bodies. Right. And then we have Simon, who is our neck carver and our inlay artist. He's been there for a very long time too. And then in finish we have Peter. He's our finish guy. Yeah. All alone back there. And then in setup we have Levi and Ryan. Okay. Yeah. And that's awesome. And then Christine. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And you mentioned the CNC. I'm guessing that's used to manufacture parts.
Yep. Yeah. So on the CNC we do our fretboards. We do our bridges. And we'll do like the Thompson logo and the headstock.
Well, one of the awesome things about all the Thompson guitars that we've had coming through here is that everyone's been different, right? I mean, I know they are models technically, but I haven't seen 2 that are exactly alike, and there probably aren't too many that leave the shop like that. Yeah. And this certainly is completely one of a kind, and that's super wonderful. So, and you just completed this a week ago, you said. Yeah. Wow. So there's a lot of great music to come out of this guitar. It's very, very cool. Well, that's great. Why don't we get back to playing it a little bit more? And I wish you years and years of enjoyment of the guitar. Because it's obviously so special. And it is so fun to kind of hear a little bit more about Thompson guitars and the process of how they built there. I hope to get up there one of these days to kind of see it firsthand. It would be super fun. Yeah. And thank you so much for coming by. And, we really appreciate the Thompson guitar support here at Peghead Nation in general. And just can't wait to play it a little bit more.
Yeah, can't wait to hear it.
Okay. Thanks. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.